Welcome back to the Dragon's Den. I'm your host, SinDragonLord, and I'm here bringing you a YCS Vegas remote duel deck profile and recap. No, this is not a top deck profile, unfortunately. I was just shy of top 32. I got 51st. So had I won one more game, I probably would have uh, topped, but it is what it is. But the reason I'm doing this is because there were some people at the YCS yesterday, and even people here in my hometown that actually wanted to see the deck profile. So, without any further ado, I guess let's just get right into it. Also, as you guys may know, I'm the captain of Team Eagle Factor, so feel free to check us out on YouTube. The spelling of our team name is right there on the field center. So feel free to show some love and give us a subscribe. So anyway, getting started on the monsters. Triple Robina, triple Eaglin, double Stree, and then one Toucan. That is fairly standard small bird lineup, so not much more needs to be said about that. The last of the Flowundries monsters is 2 copies of M-Pen, otherwise known as Palpatine, because he's an Emperor. So we play 2 copies of Palpatine just because the fact that if you start your combo with only Robina and you don't have 2 copies of M-Pen, you're not ending on Barrier Statue. You will only be ending on the 1 copy of M-Pen, and that's just, unless you're playing against a link heavy deck, that doesn't really do anything for you. But if you play 2, you can start your opponent's main phase by having double M-Pen and a Barrier Statue. So, things to consider there. Now, onto the spice. I don't see a whole lot of Flowundries player actually utilizing this engine, but I think this engine is absolutely mandatory. 3 copies of Samorg, the Bird of Perfection. So what this card does is it's effectively a chain block, as well as it allows you to gather more resources and more protection. So how does it chain block? Well, when a winged beast is normal or special summon, you can reveal this card in your hand, and then immediately after the effect resolves, normal summon it. So you go normal summon Robina, chain effect, you normal summon, and then on resolution of Robina, you normal summon the Eaglin, and then you can chain block the Eaglin too, because it has a second effect that goes off when it's normal summoned. And when it's normal summoned, you send a Samorg monster from deck to grave, and then you search your deck for a Samorg spell or trap and add it to your hand. So on that new chain, you can go Eaglin Chain Link 1, Samorg Chain Link 2, and you've effectively chain blocked 2 Flowundries monsters with 1 monster. It's fucking insane. On to the one-ofs. We play 1 Barrier Statue, 1 Mist Valley Apex Avian, and then 1 Rise of the Mega Monarch. You don't want to play too many high-level Wing Beasts because then you'll start to brick. Onto the hand traps. We play triple copies of Dimension Shifter. This is still probably the best hand trap to play in the deck. However, just be careful because it does conflict with the Samorg package, so just be wary that if you do use D-Shifter, you cannot use the Samorg package because it sends from deck to grave as cost. Then we play double Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. And then we play double Infinite Impermanence. I was playing Harpy's Featherstorm in place of Impermanence, but I wanted more cards to help me go second. And Harpy's Featherstorm is a heavy win more card when you're going first. So I just wanted to have more cards to help me go second. And it did its job. For sure, it did its job. On to Les Spell cards. we play 3 copies of Magnificent Map, and then the 1 copy of Terraforming. Yes, I am still playing Terraforming, even though Advent of Adventure does search the field spell. This just is an absolutely busted field spell, so why wouldn't you want to play more copies of it regardless? Then we play, of course, the 3 copies of Advent of Adventure. This card is absolutely insane. It helps you fix brick hands. It allows you to play through certain hand traps and interruptions, as well as it gives you some end of match procedure cheese with the life point gain after the effect resolves. So it does everything you could want this card to do, basically, except give you another normal. But I mean, we don't really need help in that department. Then onto the consistency spells, we play 3 copies of Pot of Prosperity, and then 3 copies of Pot of Duality. Prosperity is 100% superior to Extravagance in this deck. However, if you guys don't have the money for Prosperity, Extravagance is the best alternative. So, field spells being a pain in my ass right now is wanting to move all over the place. The last 2 spells in the deck, we play Flowunders in the Unexplored Winds. This card is absolutely nuts, allowing you to tribute your opponent's cards, and the fact that this is not a hard once per turn, you can tribute multiple cards your opponent controls, as long as you have the ability to tribute summon. And then we play DeFi. So this was actually a last minute decision. This was Called by the Grave. But then I decided, you know what, this actually does a little bit more for me than Called by the Grave does, because it stops most of the same hand traps that I'm trying to stop, but it also really hinders grave-centric strategies. So, and it actually put in a hell of a lot of work, because I played quite a few of those grave-heavy decks over the weekend. And then finally, the trap cards. We play 1 copies of Flowundries in the Dreaming Town, and for our Simorgh target, we play Simorgh Sky Battle. Now, I see a lot of Flowundries players that are playing this engine, not playing Sky Battle. They're actually playing the Simorgh Field Spell. I think this is superior, and here's why. So the first line of text of Simorgh Sky Battle reads, Winged Beast monsters that you control cannot be targeted by card effects or for opponent's attack, except for the Winged Beast with the highest attack. So on your standard ending board, the only monster they can target for card effects or attacks is M-Pen. And M-Pen is not easily beat over in battle. And if you're not impermanencing my barrier statue, then that's all I really care about. But not only does it protect your end board, but it also protects your follow-up too. Because when you start going off with your little birds again, they still cannot target those little birds with card effects. So no Fog Blades, no Impermanence, no Effect Veiler. You know, not that this is as relevant or anything like that, but no Breakthrough Skill. You know, it just basically helps ensure that your follow-up play will go uninterrupted. So, Simorgh Sky Battle put in so much fucking work yesterday. It was actually insane. Onto the extra deck, the least important part of this deck profile. So, I will literally just go through the monsters that I actually can summon and have summoned. Not necessarily over the weekend, but since picking up the deck. Gustav Max and Juggernaut Leap. As I mentioned before, if you have just Robina, you can end your board with double M-Pen, and if they out the barrier statue somehow, then that means that on the following turn you can make Gustav Max into Leap, and that's basically an OTK. So being able to steal games out of literally nowhere is pretty fun. Now, here's my biggest regret of the weekend. Not playing a bigger Zeus package. I should have put Downer Magician in. I probably could have won my round 9 match if I had extra materials under Zeus. So, moving forward, I will definitely be putting Downer Magician back in the list. Double Elder Entity Ints. So, these are in here. That way, if I played against the, Invoke Shadal with, the Maximus play, I basically wanted a way to turn off Fleur de Lis, which is one of the bigger issues that my deck seems to have with that particular matchup is the Fleur de Lis. Just because Winda doesn't do anything. It literally does nothing. So, yeah. So double unts, because you can pop both the Maximus and the Ecclesia, and then the Fleur de Lis is not live. And then basically it's just Reaper targets after that. We're just going to very quickly... This should have been... for Fazar as a Prankid's target, this probably should have been Prankid's Doodle, whatever the fuck it's called, the chicken. But I didn't have it, so I went with Battle Butler instead. Alright, on to the side deck. And this side deck, we'll start with the most useless card in the side deck. Double Reaper. This did nothing for me. Even in testing the times that I resolved it, it really didn't even matter. Like, it hardly... They just went with alternative plays that were still equally difficult to play around. I just had one less card in hand to do it with. So, probably be taking those out. Then I played Dark Simorgh. This is really good for the Eldritch matchup, but I did not play a single Eldritch yesterday, or over the weekend. So, this did not get sided in once. But I'll leave that off to the side because I wanted to show how prepared for Eldritch I was. Unfortunately, I played mostly combo, which honestly should have been obvious because of the adventure token package, but hell, Eldritch can play the adventure token package. So anyway, Triple Dark Ruler no more, just to help break boards and build my own. Don't really need to explain that all too much. Then to go with the Simorgh, we play the 3 copies of Lightning Storm, the 1 copy of Harpy's Feather Duster, and the 1 copy of Simorgh Repulsion. So, what Simorgh Repulsion does is, first of all, it's searchable off of Bird of Perfection, but secondly, if you discard a Winged Beast, you get to basically Giant Trunade your opponent's back row. Sorry, had an itch. So, yeah, it's a searchable out to set 5 as long as I'm able to summon Bird of Perfection. It's pretty lit. The other card that I would have sided against the Eldritch matchup is obviously Macrocosmos to go along with that DeFi, but DeFi isn't as good, so I would have taken the DeFi out and replaced it with the Macro for the Eldritch match. Because Lightning Storm plus Macro is pretty fucking nuts against that deck. It's basically a win button. And you might be saying, but SinDragonLord, how are you gonna Lightning Storm with Macrocosmos face up? Oh, you silly goose. That's why you said it. Activate Lightning Storm. And then you chain it. Easy. Easy. Just set it turn 0. When your opponent gets all set up, assuming they don't deal with the macro, just boom. Lightning Storm. And then everything gets banished. Crazy how that works. And then finally, the last 3 cards, 3-dimensional barrier. This actually put in some work. This put in some work against Jesse Kotton, who I did end up facing in round 6. And I actually ended up beating, but I'll go more into detail about that when I actually go into tournament report, which will be very brief. But yeah, no, calling Synchro against Sword Soul, calling Fusion, we're calling Exceeds and PK. It's pretty solid, you know. There's some. This card's pretty good. It definitely was not the worst card of the day. That would go to Reaper. All right, so on to the tournament report. We're just gonna go ahead. Yeah. So in round 1, I played PK Adventure, and unfortunately, I lost to that because of a misplay that I made game 1. So what happened was he went full combo, He ended on Phoenix Enforcer, Dagda, Scythe, and he shotgunned the Scythe during standby phase, which does not hurt me at all. But I made a mistake because I knew that I was going to end my combo with Barrier Statue, so there was no way that Phoenix Enforcer was going to resolve. But for some reason, I still used my Stree to banish the Phoenix Enforcer instead of the Celestial. Had I banished the Celestial, he would not have gotten a draw 2 on his next turn and drawn in a Droplet to out my board. So, yeah, misplay on my part. It definitely cost me the match, but it is what it is. And then round 2, I played against Dragon Link Adventurer. I 2-0'd that. Round 3, I played the mirror match, and I won. The mirror match is really tricky and intricate. It actually requires a lot of skill because you have to know how the cards interact with one another, basically, and just knowing what tools you have to best combat the mirror as well. Which, by the way, spoiler alert: if you have the field spell and the continuous spell against the mirror match, you're in a really good position. And then round 4, I played against Lunalight. I 2-0'd that. Round 5, I played Prank Kids Adventure. I 2-0'd that. Round 6, I played I guess what's called Kitchen Sink now, but I put it as Tenny Sword Soul Adventure. It was a 60 card mash of like just a whole shit ton of different engines. So we'll just call it Kitchen Sink. I actually 2-1'd him. It was Jesse Kotton. Game 1, I won because I had full combo. Game 2, he was able to get off a decent combo, and I just couldn't break it. And round 3, it was a bit of a grind, but I was able to outgrind him, and eventually he just got to a point where he had one card in hand, and he just could not do anything about what was on my field. So he conceded. In round 7, I played against Burning Abyss, the trap variant of Burning Abyss. And it was a good match. I was kind of surprised to see Trap BA doing that well, but more power to him. He was actually one of the ones that requested that I post my list, so shout out to you if you're watching. Round 8, I played against Virtual World Adventure, and unfortunately, I did get 2-0 clapped. He just had hand traps plus combo both games, so there wasn't anything I could really do about it. But I still made it to day 2 with that record. And then round 9, I'm a little salty about because it was against Prank Kids Adventurer, and Discord did not notify me right away that the round had started. So it started at 9, and game losses were going to be issued at 9:03. I got there at 9:02 and change, but my opponent had already called the judge, despite it not being 9:03 yet, and the judge gave me a game loss, even though I was like 30 seconds early, or like 15-30 seconds early. So, and then when I got handed the game loss, I was able to start game 2, but he literally just every single possible hand trap. And then, of course, it's Prank Kids, all the one-card combos. So, yeah, he was just able to make sure I could not do anything with all the hand traps that he had, on top of just constantly being able to recur resources and progress his game state while preventing me from progressing mine. So had I not been given that game loss, I could have foreseeably won that match, and then I would have gotten my top 32. So I'm a little salty about that because I feel like I got screwed over hard. But then round 10, I played against a Despia player. It was my first time playing against Despia. I probably made a few misplays, but I caught on to what the deck was trying to do, and ultimately I was able to get the match. So I ended my weekend X3. I got 51st place. It's not the top 32 I wanted, but it was close. And on top of that, I was able to get one over on a Worlds competitor, multiple-time Worlds competitor. So I guess that's something to be proud of. But anyway, guys, that's the profile. Thank you so much for watching, and feel free to like, comment, and subscribe to SinDragonLord, as well as don't forget to give my team YouTube some love and support as well. There's a lot of great Yu-Gi-Oh content on there as well, so feel free to check us out. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.